following is an exclusive presentation of BYU Athletics in association with BYU Broadcasting. It's time to talk BYU football. You're tuned into the Coordinator's Corner, live from JCW's in Provo, giving you the inside scoop on BYU football from the coaches themselves, JCW's, the Burger Boys. To lead things off, let's head live to your host, the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
And welcome back into JCW's in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. Every week, Mondays from noon to 1, we'll talk with two of BYU's three coordinators. Today it'll be offense and special teams. Ty Detmer here in the first half hour, and then Ed Lamb in half hour number 2. And so it is we welcome back to the show offense coordinator and QB coach, Ty Detmer. Ty, hello.
How are you?
And happy birthday.
Thanks. I don't know if it's a happy birthday or just a birthday.
It's kind of a big one. It's 5-0.
Yeah.
And I beat you by 2 months in a few days. And I got to say, 2 months in, it's okay.
It just seems so old, say 50, So I don't feel 50, but I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. 50 is the new 30, right?
That's exactly what it is. I don't feel my age. Again, when I was a young person, 50 was ancient. Now that I'm there, I don't feel ancient.
I know. It's kind of a weird deal. So, I'm sure kids look at you like you're ancient, though, right now. So I remember thinking my dad's 50, man, he's getting old. And now he's 74 and doing all right. So
well, happy
73.
birthday to you. And a good gift on the weekend with a win after a little while. Just what a weight off the shoulders of the guys, you, the staff, fans. It was a good day.
Yeah, great gift. So couldn't ask for anything more. And it was a good day. We executed. We made some plays. Got turnovers, which is always helpful for an offense. And I thought all around it was a great team win.
Beggars can't be choosers, but we scored 41 and could have scored a lot more, I felt.
Yeah, we still left a few plays on the table, so hopefully we'll make those this next week. And but you watch it and you can see the growth. You can see some of the things coming along, and we're getting there. But we still left some plays out there that you'd like to make. But that's generally the case. You rarely, if ever, will play a perfect game.
Right.
But we're excited with that the output we had, the shots we were able to connect on, and got to keep that momentum going.
Speaking of connecting on shots, and it was BYU 41, San Jose State 20, our final score. First play of the game, you decide to throw on first down, and really nice play too. A good design, and Tanner looks off. I think he looks right, gets safety moving a little bit, and then finds Jonah deep and left. It was a beautiful play.
Yeah, we had press coverage, and we'd kind of seen on film that they like to press early in the game. And so we thought we'd get Jonah in that matchup, and if he liked the look, freedom to take that shot. And so he kind of got a little bit of a sneak jam right off the
Yep.
line and had to kind of regain himself,
yep.
And then use the speed to outrun the corner, and Tanner laid it out there perfectly.
Was a nice play. Now, the fact that it came on 1st and 10, first play of the game for you on a week where everyone talked about being more aggressive, was it all just a coincidence, or would you run that play because you had the look you wanted from San Jose State?
Well, we have option to the front side as well with kind of a quick game set up, and then based on the coverage we get weak side, we can work there too. So we kind of best of both worlds. If we don't like that look, then we can work play side as well. And but we got the look we wanted and prepared for, and so it was great to see guys execute it.
Did your game plan have more shots in it, do you think, or?
We did, a little more aggressive on first down was the mentality going in. That's the thought Kalani had, was to let's go, lay it out there and give the guys opportunities. And so we decided, we'd have some more of that, and then we got them on a couple double moves that are just kind of built in on the fly a little bit as the game, progresses. So, it wasn't really any more than normal. It was we went ahead and executed and called them, and Tanner felt comfortable taking those shots, kind of got the looks we wanted.
Season highs in points and yards, rushing, passing, yards per play, all the good numbers you want were there on Saturday. San Jose State's a generous defense statistically, but you still have to go out and execute. And we saw there was improvement from, say, ECU to San Jose State against two very similar setups, maybe.
Yeah, they'd given up a lot of rushing yards, and, we were able to kind of hit them through the air where they were geared to stop the run based off of, I'm sure, what they'd seen the last few weeks. And so it's always nice to execute and to see guys go up and make a play on a ball. And in coverage and have to do that. That's not something we've done a lot of this year and haven't been great at it. And so it's really good to see them progress, and now hopefully that builds confidence in the quarterback to throw it and confidence in the receivers that they can go up and make a play. So, all those things are good and needed and will help us down the road.
Something BYU hadn't been doing a lot of was putting together long, sustained touchdown drives. Before Saturday, you had one drive of 75-plus yards for a touchdown, 3 of them against San Jose State, 75, 85, 95-yard drives. And more than just the number or the trivial part of it, that's consistency and continuity and keeping your guys on the field, which is the hallmark of a good football team.
Well, it doesn't hurt to have a 2-play 75-yard drive with a 75-yard run. That kind of helps the average. But
yeah.
We did. That's been a focus, is finishing drives and not just getting to the 50 or digging it out of your own end and flipping the field position, but to actually take that next step and finish. And there's still a couple third downs out there where we had a drop and left it on the field, but I thought overall we managed it and we took some shots and had some chunk plays in there that always help you to kind of, not just have to always be in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, but to get those drives started and to be able to finish them in the end zone.
KJ's 75-yarder was a highlight. When you go back and look at that play, what do you like about it?
Well, I like the fact it was perfectly blocked. We kind of let a guy slip through a little bit, but not enough to affect the play. And so you watch for the execution with the tight end on setting the edge, which Bushman did. And then, Tijon and I believe Kia Norman pulling around the edge, we're able to seal backers. And it's kind of like that old Vince Lombardi, drive where we want a seal here and a seal here, and we want to hit it right up the crease. And
which is what you did.
It's kind of what we did. And then, the receivers blocking downfield. You see Bo Tanner really get on his horse and try to get down there in front of it and just make sure nobody gets involved in it. But I thought our receivers did a great job of blocking down the field, which goes unnoticed a lot of times.
Then KJ had to run it, and he did.
He did. It kind of surprised me when he really kicked it in that he had that kind of speed, because I thought the safety had the angle on him, and he outran the angle. And, you always love a back that can finish those long runs and not just, have a 20 or 30-yard run, but actually go ahead and take it the distance.
Longest run from scrimmage for BYU in 11 years, as it turned out.
Is that right?
Mike Haig had, I think it was an 86 back in 2006 for a touchdown late in a game. That was a big one for KJ, 75. And it was part of a big half. He goes for 156 in the first half, 112 rushing. Let's not forget 44 receiving. He was being used out of the backfield well as a receiving option.
Yeah, he's a great all-around type of back. He does well in blitz pickup. He's a smart kid, so he understands it. And then he finds those little kind of openings in a defense on his checkdowns, and those were really important for us. I think one even came on a 4th down play and able to check it down, get the first down before the end of the half. But that's something you want out of your backs, be involved in the pass game, either protection or checking down and getting out and being a viable receiver. So he had a great half, and it was too bad he didn't get to finish it off the second half.
That's the thing. He only played the one half, and the hope is that his injury won't be too long-term and you get him back to see him some more, right?
Yeah, it's kind of, depends on the inflammation and how quickly he feels good on it. So we're hoping it's this week, but we'll kind of manage it and play it by ear by the end of the week.
Okay, since you brought up 4th downs, before the break quickly, before Saturday, BYU was 1 for 13 on 4th downs, 3 for 3 against San Jose State. You found something or things you liked that worked?
Yeah, that was big, and I think our guys really buckled down and focused on those plays that we needed. One was a quarterback sneak and a couple passes, one hit for a touchdown. So, we'd like to convert more 3rd downs. We were still only, I think, 33% on 3rd down, but some of those are we know we're in 4-down territory, so maybe on 3rd and 10 you run it and hope to get 6 or 8 and know that you're going to go for it on 4th down. And so a couple of those probably fall on me as a coordinator, knowing that we're going to go for it on 4th down.
I think you get that. Those were the 3, though, right? It was KJ for one, it was Tanner on the sneak, and then the touchdown to Micah Simon, I think, was the other one. We'll come back after the break. We'll talk about Micah Simon's big day and how he's come along for this BYU offense. I'm with Ty Detmer on the Coordinator's Corner here at JCW's. Questions for Ty, tweet them in, #CCBYU. The hashtag is CCBYU. Ty Detmer this half hour, Ed Lamb next half hour. This is the Coordinator's Corner at JCW's in Provo on BYU Radio, ESPN 960, and BYU Football Facebook Live.
Okay, that's good. Whoa. What?
voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
All right, so welcome back inside JCW's here in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. Ed Lamb coming up in the second half hour, BYU's special teams coordinator. This half hour, it's offense with BYU's OC and QB coach Ty Detmer. BYU coming off its second win of the season, 41-20 over San Jose State this past Saturday at LaVell Edwards Stadium. In that game, it's a multiple touchdown day for Micah Simon. First guy, I think, with multiple scores in a game this season for BYU. He now has 3 touchdown catches in the last 2 games. Has really coming along nicely for you.
Yeah, he's continuing to progress and grow, and moving him around different positions on the field kind of helps him to, find those creases, and I think Tanner's really got a lot of confidence in him. He had one early where it was off his hands and intercepted.
For a pick. Yeah.
And, you got to just tell yourself, hey, go back to it and trust him, and he's a good player, and so we did, and he ended up making a lot of plays for us as the game went on. He
got his hands on another ball right at the end of half. In fact, the last play of the first half. Awkward positioning, tough catch to make, but you thought he could haul it in perhaps. Didn't happen that way. That last sequence was pretty crazy at the end of the first half, wasn't it?
It was. We got to manage that a little better. We had a short completion to Matt with kind of a covered Matt Bushman and no yards, and the clock's still running. It's probably better to run the play on out and throw it away, and now you save some time. And then Tanner scrambled and just missed the first down by a yard, and now the clock's running and we're having to get on the ball. It's one of those, do we have time to spike it and kick a field goal, or do we need to just try to get a play off? Yeah. And I felt like we needed to just try to line up and get a play off and snap it with 1 or 2 seconds maybe is all. And Tanner did a good job of just kind of buying time. You could tell watching the film, the guys were out of gas at that point. They'd been going hard and fast, and I think if Mike is fresh, he makes that play. But like you said, he kind of got his body a little, torqued around and just couldn't quite finish the catch. And that would have been a big play for us going into half, knowing we get it coming out again. So we got to manage that situation a little better with no timeouts and know when we got to throw it and when we can take off and run and get the clock stopped.
And otherwise, really good day for Micah and for Tanner, for that matter. More on Tanner's numbers in a bit. Matt Bushman scores again, second straight week for him. Such a reliable target as a young player, a long career ahead of him, and he's proven to be one of the best early tight ends or young tight ends you've had. He's leading your team in targets and catches.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and it's week to week just getting more and more comfortable, and again the thing with him is just getting more physical, and that'll come as he gets older and more in the weight room, in the off seasons, and more comfortable just using his size. Sometimes a guy has something they don't really know they have, and he played high school receiver, and so he's still learning that he's a 6'5", 230 pounds, and he can go bang into safeties and backers and use that to his advantage and not get called on it. So we're still learning that, but he's had a great couple weeks, really a great season for coming in this first year, and a lot of confidence in him.
He's top 5 nationally in the tight end receptions right now. Tanner Mangum, last 2 weeks, 602 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, the 2 picks. Passer ratings of 140 and 146. You'd love to be around 150, but we're getting close. And Tanner's getting better as he feels better. I think the ankle especially.
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of figuring him out a little bit as coaches, and he's starting to get a better understanding, a better feel for the offense, and more comfortable knowing he doesn't have to make every play and throw it down the field. We got KJ had a lot of receiving yards just in check down mode. So I think he's getting a better feel out there. The more he's playing, the better he's getting. So we got to keep that trend going, and just the receivers are making plays around him now as well on balls, and they're getting more confidence. So the whole package is starting to feel like it's coming together, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And like I said, we left some plays out there that you'd love to see us make, and couple reads on the run, when to pull, when not to pull, when to throw the bubble. We had a couple mistakes there that we just got to clean up and be perfect on those types of reads. So.
Beyond the players around him improving, feeling more comfortable, like you said, and beyond maybe some schedule components as well, What's the biggest difference between early season Tanner and maybe mid to late season Tanner we're seeing right now?
Well, I think, like you said, kind of coming off the ankle injury, he's starting to feel more confident. He pulled it down and ran for a couple first downs this week, and moving around, buying some time when it's a three-man rush and they're dropping a lot of guys into coverage. He made a few plays there as well. So I think that part of it's coming. That's something he's always been able to do, and now it's being able to put it all together, the reads, and then when it's not there, then be able to take off and either buy time and find somebody open or pull it down and run it yourself. So I think, it's a comfort level. It's trusting the protection, trusting the scheme, and understanding the scheme and what's expected.
There are 130 FBS teams. Only 34 have more pass completions of 40-plus yards than BYU. BYU's got 7. You were 8.7 yards per attempt this past weekend, and BYU's won 33 straight times at 8 yards per attempt or better. Now, you don't game plan for 8 yards per attempt. That's not something you game plan for as a number, but it is a byproduct of taking a few shots and having a good downfield assemblage of personnel. That's all coming together, and it's tough to beat when you have those kind of numbers.
It is. Those chunk plays make a big difference in a game, because that kind of either flips the field or it's a touchdown type of play, and so we need those. We've been saying all along, from the start of the season, we needed more chunk plays, and I think we're getting to that point where we're feeling more confident to go ahead and call it, and then for Tanner to hang in there and give it a chance. And like I said, a couple of double moves we had were just we were able to throw it underneath early, and then they start biting. Now I think we're in a position where we can feel confident that, okay, let's pump this one, and if it's not there, check it down.
Right.
And they were there this week, and so we were able to hit a few of those and make plays, but those were big in a game.
Pumps and goes were working, and you feel you got the quarterback to throw it down there, and you've got guys who can make plays downfield. Clearly.
Yeah, Tanner was very accurate on the deep balls this week. I think we connected on all of them that we took our shots. There was a back shoulder to Bo Tanner. I think we tried to kind of pull him up with the ball, and he was thinking, try to keep going down the field, so more of a miscommunication. Yeah. But when we threw it, we were really accurate, and then the guys were able to make a play with the guy kind of closing on them at times.
Okay, next segment is your segment, folks. A hashtag CCBYU for Ty Detmer. We're taking your questions on Twitter here on the Coordinator's Corner. Final segment next with Ty, hashtag CCBYU for your questions. Ed Lamb's coming up at the bottom of the hour until 1 o'clock. We're live at JCW's in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner on ESPN 960, BYU Radio, and on video, BYU Football Facebook Live.
Hi, I'm Ned Siegfried. It's great to see the.
Okay, thank you.
Provo. This is the Coordinator's Corner on the new skin BYU Sports Network. Now let's rejoin the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
All right, so welcome back to JCW's here in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. It's Ty Detmer's 50th birthday today. We didn't forget him. We took care of him. You know, cakes are so passé, right? We got him a cookie, a birthday cookie for this one. Now, Ty, this is going to go back to the office, right?
It probably won't last long back there. A bunch of scavengers hanging around, so.
Scavenger coaches. Our cookie
Scavenger
handler is
coaches.
going to take care of it for us. Here we
All
go.
right.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Sean.
it.
Yeah. To Twitter we go. Hashtag CCBYU for Coach Detmer here. This from Lauren Porter using the hashtag CCBYU on Twitter. In BYU's offensive scheme, how important is a play action?
It's important, and that's one of the things kind of being in the gun that I feel like it's kind of hindered us a little bit is, you know, with the gun, you're closer to the running back, so you don't sell the fake quite as much. So that's something we've had to kind of tweak and figure out how to maximize that part of it. So, but, you know, I've always, if we're able to run the ball like we have been, then we'll always, you know, try to incorporate some of the play action stuff in there. And you know, it helps keep the backers just holding a little bit longer and keep safeties off of you a little bit too.
Okay, a question coming up from Randall Nelson here, and this might lead us into a discussion about the rest of your backfield. But he says Austin Kafensis looked very good in his few carries this weekend, and he plans on moving him to running back full time. So on Austin, and then maybe more about who's there with if you don't have, say, KJ Hall this weekend.
Yeah, Austin's been a guy that's kind of been in the mix, and we've gotten a carry here or there, and then have experimented with the Wildcat stuff with him because that's what he played in high school, and so he's you know, he'll be a bigger part if KJ's out this week in that running back rotation, and hope to see some good things for him. You know, it's not easy to take a quarterback and all of a sudden put them in a different position just because they're athletic. It's a different style of running for running backs with the shoulders down and a little lower, whereas a quarterback, you're used to kind of pulling it and being in space a little more. So he's done a great job of just being patient and working at it and being willing to do both, you know, the quarterback Wildcat stuff and the running back package. So, you know, he's a guy that we expect to see a little bit more of as we go and as he gets more and more comfortable in that.
Okay, Twitter question from Nelson. How much input do you or Coach Lamb, will ask Ed, take from BYU's sports statistics people?
It's interesting to see the statistics. You know, every game's different, and there's always factors that kind of trump statistics at times. So, you know, you look at last week at East Carolina, our numbers were almost identical with them, but it was late in the game, and so, you know, do you really count the numbers or not count the numbers? So it's nice to know what your third down conversions. There's a handful that I think really correlate to the win or loss record in a game, but for the most part, you know, I've never been a statistic guy. We need to rush for this many yards or throw for these many yards. It's really based off what the defense is giving you. For example, San Jose State was big dropping and playing coverage on second and long, so we ran the ball more on second and long. That's where KJ's run came in, and as a play caller, those are the things that matter to your kind of tendencies that you get from a defense.
In the feel of the game, flow of the game, and, of course, the scouting you do in the course of the week.
Right.
Sean, on Twitter, we hit it on the last segment, but more about that last play of the first half. Was that a call or was it improvisation on that point?
The last play for Micah was we called just basically everybody get in the end zone, you know, kind of go routes, 4 verticals, and then it turned into improvisation as Tanner moved around and had to buy time and just kind of wait for somebody hopefully to break open. And then I think he felt, you know, pressure and knew he had to get it off and try to put it up where one of our guys could make a play on it.
Okay, thanks for the questions, folks. hashtag CCBYU on Twitter. Fresno State now, this weekend, they've allowed 2 touchdowns over the last 14 or 13 quarters of play, and they hang their hat on D.
They do. They're a tough physical front. Their front 7 really are active. They slant, they twist, they blitz. So they're a really good football team. I think they're first place in the Mountain West right now, and have played some really good teams. Played Alabama, so they've lost to some good teams, and then stubbed their toe last week against UNLV, who we played later. So that, it was good to get to see both those teams play each other. But
watch that game live, by the way, when it was.
I did. I got home and was able to catch a lot of that, and kind of get a jump start Saturday night on Fresno. But they're a really good football team. They're well coached. They play physical, and they're just one of those teams that you're going to have to go in and play really hard, and it's going to be a dogfight.
Okay, last two games, BYU's gained 1,019 yards in total offense, 1,002 over the preceding 4 games. Again, schedule's a component of that, but how much of that is real? Again, you say some numbers don't mean things. How much of that is real progress that says we're going to be able to finish strong here with this group?
Well, I think, we're seeing, progress, and not just in the yards, but more in our execution and what we see on film as coaches. So that to me means more than just yards, and
the point total has gone up 4 straight weeks. And
it has, and those are good things, and some of that correlates with turnovers from the defense and all those things. So it's a good combination that we had this last week with getting turnovers from special teams or the defensive side, and we got to take advantage of those. And so, like I said, it's seeing the progress of the players and the execution that you see on film, and guys making adjustments that maybe weren't being made, and also we played some pretty good football teams early in the year, and had some quarterback injuries with guys in and out, and all those kind of play into where we're at right now. But we're excited with where we're at and where we're going, and hopefully we can continue that this week against a really good defense.
Whether offense or the entire group, how much confidence can be gained from a game like Saturday where you finally see it come together, score a bunch of points, get the W?
I think a lot. I think for us as coaches, feeling comfortable to go ahead and call it the way we call it, and take our shots, and know that we can trust our players to make good decisions. That's the big thing, is you got to have trust in your players that you can kind of turn them loose, and they'll make good decisions. It's a lot of our interceptions earlier in the year came on first down, and that's a big no-no, because you got 2 more downs to try to get it or check it down, and maybe that guy gets it. So we're starting to learn that and get more comfortable that we can do that. So that means we can be a little more aggressive on first down.
Well, best of luck this weekend at Fresno State. We try to get that second straight win.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for the cookie as well.
Yeah. Happy birthday, happy 50th. Welcome to the 50 Club.
Yep.
Again, we don't feel like it. I know we don't look like it either. All right. For Ty Detmer, I'm Greg Wrubell. We've got Ed Lamb coming up next. Thank you, Ty. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Coordinator's Corner continues with Ed Lamb here at JCW's ESPN 960, BYU Radio, and BYU Football Facebook Live.
For over 100 years, the skilled electricians of BYU Local 3.
How's your volume, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Good, excellent. Okay. Did my clip come off here, Tanner, somehow? That's good. I'm good. Thanks, Sean. Did you think Johnny could have taken off on the first one Saturday?
He could have, yeah.
Every time I look now, I'm always looking for that now.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Into the Coordinator's Corner, live on the new skin BYU Sports Network. Let's head back to JCW's in Provo and the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
All right, second half hour of our weekly 1 hour show here at JCW's, Mondays 12 to 1. We had Ty Detmer last half hour talking offense, moving over to special teams with BYU special teams coordinator, safeties coach, and assistant head coach, Ed Lamb. Ed, good to see you again.
Thanks, Greg.
And great to get the result you guys have been waiting for so long for on the Saturday. Congrats.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks.
There are different levels of celebration, I think, in a locker room, but I don't care if you're 1-7. Getting to 2-7 means something, and I hope you guys had some fun with that.
Oh, yep, absolutely. Every game is worth playing for the chance to win that week, be successful, and see the players happy. We take tremendous satisfaction in helping the guys be successful, and that means a win. It means a win, really. I think there are small victories to be had sometimes on a loss, and it's important that we recognize those and point out players that are making progress in their abilities and in their contributions to the team. But there's just nothing like that feeling after a win, where every player in the locker room, for the most part, feels really good about their contribution, feels really good about their teammates and coaches, and good about preparing the next week.
Hopefully more wins to come down the stretch. And how much of what we've seen and saw Saturday leads you to believe that a corner of sorts had been turned to where, yeah, this is now our group we can go do some good things with here down the stretch?
I think I really shy away from that kind of language and thinking in those ways. I think, each week it's a matchup between us and the opponent, and it's how well we prepare and how well we play on that given week. And I hope that there is, I think if I read into your question, I think, there's hope that that college football and young people operate a lot on momentum and confidence, and I hope that momentum and confidence will carry over. But we have another new opponent, and Fresno State is not San Jose State, and by all appearances they appear to be a better team for whatever that's worth. But in the end, it's how good we are on Saturday against how good our opponent is on that Saturday, and we need to prepare for them 100% and not worry about last week.
More about the Bulldogs in a bit. As for last week, the buzzword was aggressive. And however that was reflected in the course of the game, I do know that Braden El-Bakri plays aggressively all the time. And yet he made a play early in that game that helped really keep momentum with you and kind of alter the early tone of the game on a hit that took me right out of my play call, because I was on my way to calling something, and all of a sudden I was calling something different because he levels a guy with a clean, hard hit, and he picks up the fumble after it to put you guys on a short field. What a great play.
Yeah, it was. And he's got a personal highlight film of kickoff coverage this season alone. Not just, there's ones that stand out in my mind. I think he had a couple against Portland State that were almost similar to the hit that he laid this week. But going back on that play a little bit, Kamel Green, and he executed a twist. And, a twist and the design and the play call and all that, that's just a start. It's all about the finish. It's all about making that tackle. But Kamel drew 3 blocks purposely to himself and picked off the blocker. So Braden was completely free, untouched all the way down the field, and the runner never saw him coming.
Yeah, free, untouched, and then unseen. Yes. He comes from a blind side. Yes. And again, credit to Braden, because you can tell he's seeing what he's hitting, and he gets him high on the shoulder here to where initially they go, it's so violent, it's got to be a target. And look at it again, and they go, he hit him right.
Yeah, he just didn't cringe, and that's the key to being a great tackler and a great blocker and a great football player. Is certain players will at many times want to kind of cringe in and fit into the contact, and everybody wants to do a good job and make big plays and big tackles and big blocks, but he didn't flinch, eyes open all the way through, and put his face exactly where it needed to be, right on the shoulder, right on the the leverage side, upper numeral. That's where he put his face, and that was a good, clean, solid hit. I'm glad that San Jose State's player appeared to be okay.
Yeah, so if there was ever textbook execution of from a coverage unit, that was pretty close to it there, wasn't there?
Training video right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again, you don't want to make light of the hardness of the hit, because the player was dinged, but he did get up, did walk off.
Yes.
That's just a hard football hit that took a guy off the field, but it wasn't dirty, wasn't illegal, it wasn't targeting.
That's right. Yep. We want to hit hard for the results that happened. We got momentum, we got the ball, and that's why the game of football is played in a violent way. And everything that the officials and the game has done to take the hitting out of the game, I certainly appreciate. But that was a tackle that he put on, not a hit. And there's a big difference between the two, and I think the officials with the advantage of replay, were able to make the right call.
And I think I could even recall arms being involved, too. It wasn't like he was just trying to spear a guy. He was trying to wrap and make a tackle.
Yeah, he wrapped up. The player went down so clean and so quickly that he wasn't able to get his arms around it. But he didn't come. The thing the officials really look for, what they're trained to look for, is does the defensive player come in with his arms inside, hands inside, and look to deliver a forearm type shiver and a shoulder and a head, or are they coming in chest open
to tackle,
inviting the contact to make a tackle? Exactly. And he clearly was attempting to make a tackle.
Beyond the impact of that hit, there was an impact in the game. You're already up 7-0, short field 14-0, and you're off and running.
Yep, 14-0, and I think to get the crowd into it and to get the offense an opportunity to quickly put points on the board. I mean, 14 points in the first quarter, that's that for us has been a good game output up to that point. And so I think it just really helped get the ball rolling. Braden finishing with 2 tackles on the special teams, a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Could have been a candidate for defensive player of the game with that type of point production.
The early lead helps BYU keep a halftime lead, and BYU's yet to lose a game in the Satake era when you lead just going into the break. And BYU's won, going back to Broncos years, now 13 straight games when just leading at halftime. That means something.
Oh, that does, yeah. I mean, what it means for us is we need to work on the times when we're not leading at halftime, I guess, and get a winning streak going with that. That would be halftime adjustments and being able to motivate the team to come out and turn things around.
And BYU, I think, is 48-1 in the last 10-plus years when a 14-plus point lead is had at halftime. And BYU was up, I think, 18 at the break this past week. All good numbers, and they start with that, a really strong start for BYU. Rhett Allman, let's talk about him a little bit. 54 consecutive PATs for Rhett. BYU record 70. Maybe he gets close to it by the end of the year. Hopefully we score enough touchdowns where it's a question. He missed his first career PAT for you. Mm-hmm. And you, I think at that time, brought someone else. It was Jake and did the next PAT. Is that what happened at Arizona last year?
Yes.
So then Rhett got back in it, and he's not missed for you since.
That's right. Yeah, he's done a great job. And he's really – I know he takes some heat because he's missed some makeable field goals. And he takes some heat from me for that. And he puts a lot of heat on himself. But, overall, his numbers have really been solid for what we ask him to do and the field goals we ask him to make. He's been a solid kicker. We always want to get better. I want to help make him better. I want to train him. He wants to be better. But after he missed a field goal in this last game, he came back and made the next one. And I went to him after he missed, and I said, look, here's the deal. I can leave you in, but if you miss, you're done. You are no longer the starter. If you make the next one, then that's clutch. That's under pressure, and I'm putting this pressure on you right now. And he delivered on the next one.
He missed 33 between the hashes and then made, as you said. So he's got the accuracy, PATs, and this field goal percentage number is very good, top 2 or 3 all-time at BYU, but they're shorter looks generally.
Yes.
You having your druthers, do you want a kicker that can give you the chance to score from 40 out?
Absolutely. Or longer. Or why not 50?
Well, yeah, it's been 11 years since BYU's had a 50-yard field goal, but it's been 20 games since BYU's made a 40-yard field goal or longer.
Yeah. It absolutely. Yep. We'd love to continue to train him. His range is much better than it was a year ago in terms of the pop, the height, the trajectory that he gets on the kick. But there's also the margin for error on the direction changes on a longer field goal, as you know. I think people can picture that, and so that's really, I think, where he has missed. The one on Saturday was well over the top of the uprights, I think, even on the miss. It wasn't a missed kick in terms of the contact. It was misaimed. And those are the things that I need to continue to work with him on, and we both want to improve and are both working to improve.
All right, Ed Lamb with us. Twitter questions for Ed later in this half hour with the hashtag CCBYU. We're back with more with BYU's special teams coordinator, assistant head coach, and safeties coach, Ed Lamb. This is the Coordinator's Corner at JCW's in Provo. BYU's a winner this past weekend, 41-20 over San Jose State at Fresno State this Saturday. Back with more after this.
Picture this.
join the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
Welcome back inside JCW's in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner this half hour. Coach Ed Lamb talking special teams and safeties with us. BYU at Fresno State this Saturday. More on the Bulldogs in just a minute. If you have a question for Ed, send it in via Twitter with the hashtag CCBYU. Only 3 punts on last Saturday, and you'll take those kind of days all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, Johnny's been the whole punt team really has been spot on their game for several games now. I think there was one return yard in the game. I'm not sure how the officials stat keeper. I don't really check the stats on that much unless there was a significant problem I was looking for. But he's done a great job. Our net punts have been very solid. The protection guys have done their job. The coverage guys have done their job. And so love getting those guys out there when it's needed and doing their job well, but nice to see the offense continue to move it down into scoring territory.
Net punt is ranked 19th right now nationally. My pet stat, punt efficiency, is also ranked very highly. Again, the return game is yet to really bust out for you. We seem to talk about it every week you're on just to see how it's progressing and who you're using. We've seen different people back there in an attempt to jumpstart things a little bit maybe.
Sure. Yeah, I'll put myself on the hot seat there. Our return game is much improved. Going back many years, as long as I've been coaching special teams, I've really put a big emphasis on coverage, punt coverage, kickoff coverage. That's where games can be lost. And, the aggressiveness that Coach Yatake is talking about is going more after blocks, going more after returns. And so that's a challenge that I've accepted. And, so I'm installing now the returns earlier in the week. I'm sacrificing some of our offensive and defensive personnel. Sometimes we try to protect guys from taking too many snaps on offense, defense, or special teams in general. Mm-hmm. Trying to get better personnel out there, coach them harder, coach them earlier in the week, be more aggressive with the schemes that we run. And I really feel like over the last couple of weeks we've had some really good setups, and some parts of that are low kicks with a lower trajectory, less hang time, and having the opportunity to get big returns. And I think we're just waiting for some of those opportunities in the game. But I've been really pleased with the effort of the guys blocking right now.
Who would you say your starting returners are going into Fresno State right now?
Mike Shelton has been the top returner on both punts and kickoff returns, and he has continued to work harder at it. And I think, from the time when I first got here in the spring and gave him an initial evaluation until now, he's proven my initial evaluation wrong, or he's improved a lot. And I always leave that option open that maybe it's me that's improved in my evaluation. But I really feel confident about his ability.
I want to get to safeties in a second. It's not a safety question per se, but we go back and look at the Diango Moluku INT, and it was a big play taken away by a roughing the passer call. I thought it was a harsh call because of the timing of it. I don't know that Butch would have had time to let up before hitting the quarterback, depending on, based on when he made his attempt to tackle to when the ball was away. How did you view that play?
Well, the thing that I saw when I went back and looked at it was we had one of our defensive players low on the quarterback's legs. And so the roughing the passer, although I think they called 38, Butch on the play, Butch's contact looked like it was more egregious than it actually was because of the fact that we had the quarterback's legs wrapped up. And that's been taken out of the game too. Really, we're not supposed to hit the quarterback around the legs. So we want our guys to stay aggressive. There was no effort to target. There was no effort by Butch to put his head down and crown the quarterback. So from a coaching standpoint, it's one of those where we just have to say, I think that was a clean hit. It was in the gray area. Officials want to give extra protection to the passer, and we support that rule. But, I think most often that call would not be made in that situation.
Now, the receiver on that play stopped. The quarterback was thinking go, and Dian makes a nice play. Mm-hmm. Dian is, that maybe not the toughest INT in the world to get, but he's really secure with his hands. And then what he does after the pick, even though it was called back, shows that he's a real playmaker. He is.
He's definitely a playmaker. He shows a lot of ability to run the football as well. After his return yardage last year was excellent. Had a couple of really big returns. He's had some this year. A lot of return yardage. He does a great job making plays. He's physical in the game. He refuses to come off of special teams, no matter how he got a stinger in the game and I said, hey, I'm going to give you a break on special teams. He said, no, Coach, I'm trying to rack up those tackles. So love the way he plays. Love coaching him. It's an honor to coach him.
Now, BYU's offense was on the field for this next play I'm going to talk about, so maybe you did or didn't go back to see it. BYU had an offensive PI called in a really unusual situation. You don't often see downfield picks called. That's what they called in this case. Do you see what they were seeing? Because I had a tough time coming up with that one.
Yeah, that was a difficult call to deal with. The thing that I learned in my time as a head coach with officials is that they are, and as far as I know, the CFO is the group of officials that we subscribe to right now.
CFO West, maybe.
We're partnered with, contracted with, and I don't think I've talked to Kalani about it. I don't think he gets this information, but in the Big Sky, at the end of every year, we got a report of the top. It was really all the officials ranked on their performance and every call is judged as a plus or a minus, and so we could see every year not only who the best officials in the league were, but who the worst were, and generally about the bottom 25% were cut or fired and ended up being relegated to the Division II or junior college ranks. And so, and then I've spent some time with officials at their summer clinics. And the thing about those guys is they train really hard. They understand the game better than we do as coaches, and they do not want to blow a call. It doesn't matter if I know they don't, but even if I knew that an official was a graduate of our opponent, in no way would I think that they would ever risk getting a blown call. So, I'm sure the official saw it and making that call live. Every player on our team, every coach on our sideline can relate to making a mistake in the game. Nobody played and coached perfectly, and maybe that wasn't a perfect call. I see what he saw, and certainly live from his angle, maybe it looked more egregious than it does, going back and taking a look.
Okay, before the break, a safety play on Saturday. How would you kind of grade it out, or maybe pick out guys you thought that played very well for you?
Yeah, I've got this question a lot. Our safeties have played really, really well and really strong all year. And the thing that you normally judge that by is breakout runs and breakout passes. And we don't get long yards after catch against our team, and we don't get long runs against our team. And a big part of that is our safeties, who are two of our top tacklers. And but a lot of times I get that question after a loss. So I'm happy now after a win to say those guys are really, really good safeties, and their opportunities to continue to play this game after college will really prove out on that. They're two, Micah and Zane are our starters, and they are two of the very best overall football players on our team. They make plays on special teams and defense. They play really hard and they play really well.
Austin Lee recovered a fumble on the weekend.
Austin Lee recovered a fumble. He also broke on a pass late in the game and kept it to a very negative gain. And based on where he came from, it was an excellent play. Kept it to a 4-yard gain. He also contributes on special teams. He'll play a bright role for us in the future.
All right, Twitter questions next for Ed Lamb in our final segment. Hashtag #CCBYU, the CC for Coordinator's Corner. This is the Coordinator's Corner. We're at JCW's in Provo. You can hear us on ESPN 960 and BYU Radio. Watch us on BYU Football Facebook Live. Back in a bit.
Picture this. You have a big change coming up in your life, and you
Coordinator's Corner, live on the New Skin
59.
BYU Sports Network. Let's head back to JCW's in Provo and the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
All right, it's time to turn it over to Cougar Nation for our final segment here of the Coordinator's Corner. Hashtag CCBYU, Twitter questions for Coach Ed Lamb. And this question was a two-parter, went for both Ty and you. And it comes from Nelson, and it asks, how much input do you and Ty, we asked Ty already, take from BYU's sports statistics people? How much do stats play into how you prepare or game plan or assess?
Oh, yeah, stats are I'll have to go through a kind of a timeline of the week, but yeah, it's the first thing we look for when we come off of the field at the game. We have two different set of stats. The first is called the quickie stats, and you've seen these up in the press box, and that gives us kind of an overall rundown, overall picture. It's not very detailed, and then we get the stat book about 15 or 20 minutes later that's printed out, and that's usually 15 or 20 pages long. And that tells us, that gives us a lot of things to start to look for before we actually watch the video. It tells us maybe where we were strong, where we were weak, who some of the top producers were, whether we're looking at offense or defense or production on defense, and special teams. And then we also have a group of statisticians that are on our staff, our support staff, graduate assistants, some people call them. We have position assistants, support staff, and they're usually looking ahead about 10 days at the next opponent, and they're running statistics that you wouldn't talk about in a fan sense, things like formationally, like I'm mostly in the defensive room, but formationally, how often do they run this particular coverage against this formation, or how often do they run this particular blitz against this formation, and then vice versa, out of these offensive formations, what plays do they run? Statistics like that become very important to us as we work throughout the week. And then we also have a group of statisticians on campus that in our stats groups,
right,
and they send us stats. Those stats can be tougher to look at. The cause and effect from somebody who's not involved in football can be really difficult to link, and so I think that's something that analytically, as this field grows, we need to grow our understanding of that field. And I would say, like, right now we're serious about it, we're diligent about it. There are as many coaches at all levels right now making big mistakes because of their interest in analytics than there are coaches that are taking advantage of it. And so we want to be careful, want to be smart, and we want to put resources into it. Right now, I think we're in the right place for that.
You can get a lot of data thrown at you. To me, it all comes down to win-loss correlation. If you can somehow determine to the best of your ability that there is a strong correlation when a particular number is thrown at you, then you give it weight.
Right.
Are there any analytical touch points that you do look to that you go, this really matters in the course of a game, win or loss?
Let me tell you the number one thing that matters, and it's what analytics can't do, but I think it'll answer the question. So analytics can give you a picture of everything that's happened up to that point. Normally, analytics aren't taking into account momentum. They're not taking into account injuries. They're not taking into account generally what's happened in that particular game. So, to talk about a 4th and 1 analytic overall for all NFL teams or all college football teams in a certain area of the field with a certain personnel on the field, I mean, you can continue to narrow this down and narrow this down. And it's really, the more it gets microed, the better. But a coach should never doubt his gut instinct at that moment, and that's the thing that at this point computers and statistics can't match, is the experience of a competent and confident head coach that really has their pulse on the finger of what his team can accomplish at that moment.
Excellent. From Scott, what's a good way for a 2018 long snapper to get in touch with Coach Lamb?
Yeah. Don't try Twitter or Facebook. Those are accounts. I've never posted on either one of those accounts, and I don't look at them, but email. You can find my email address at byu.edu and search through the athletic department.
Okay, that's the way to do it. Randall asks, on kickoffs, are we typically going for the goal line to force a return? With our coverage units, it seems to be working quite well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the compliment. We're looking for 4 seconds of hang time. The kickers want to put as much distance on it as possible with 4 seconds of hang time, so I leave that part out of their last moment reminder. Ideally, for me, I love to see a kick because I'm a coverage guy at heart and love to see those guys, select those guys from the team, figure out who's got that kind of courage and tenacity to run down the field. And then I love to see a kick land right at the goal line where the returner has no choice but to return it, but it's as deep as it can possibly be without giving him that choice with 4 seconds of hang time and 11 guys on our team, including the kicker, running full speed to go get him.
Is that happening more often than not for you?
No, I think that's rare. That's that golden moment, and we don't get a lot of those that land right on the goal line. But our kickers do an excellent job at putting it somewhere between the 2-yard line and 5 yards deep in the end zone, somewhere between the numbers and the hashes, and giving our guys a chance to go and cover it.
Okay, we have a 30-second snapshot opportunity here for Fresno State. Mobile quarterback, seems like everybody gives you a staple of RPOs. Shotgun single back primarily, some split back with motion. What do you like from Fresno State? What do they challenge you? How do they challenge you?
I would say offense, defense, and special teams. I've looked at all of them now with a little long, earlier game on Saturday. I had some more time on Saturday and Sunday, and even today to get a jump on them. They are the most solid, fundamental, well-coached football team, top to bottom, that we've played at this point. They just have – I haven't studied their whole staff. I know their head coach is a 20-year veteran as a head coach, has a lot of experience. But these guys will not give us the game. There could be some errors technically in the ball handling positions or something like that. I mean, there's no way for a coach to really dictate that. But in terms of giving the game away with foolish decisions or game management, offense, defense, special teams, very solid.
Good luck Saturday in Fresno.
Thanks, Greg.
This has been the Coordinator's Corner at JCW's on BYU Radio, ESPN 960, and BYU Football Facebook Live. So long. Good out.